Hello, 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 and welcome to Beyond the Market, which explores real estate, real life, and real perspective that help us move forward with clarity, confidence, and purpose. I'm Nadine Mendez, broker of Amazing Journey Realty. Today's question is simple. Is the housing market progressing or regressing? Now, it depends on who you ask. You will hear very different answers. So today we're going beyond the headlines and the noise to uncover what today's market shift really means for buyers, sellers, and investors. What is a market shift? It is a significant transition on how the market operates, often affecting consumer behavior, demand, competition, pricing, or products and services. Key trends to watch in order to determine a housing market shift are inventory, rates, and affordability. And under normal economic terms, it's based on the law of supply and demand, which essentially means inventory over buyers. Okay? Hope you get that. Now, markets aren't the only things that experience or influence shifts. There is other trends include and not limited to economic conditions, which will be recession, inflation, that can alter spending patterns. Then there's political or social climate, which can lead to either confidence or uncertainty about the future spending or your investment. There's also regulatory changes, new laws or government policies that can create whether either opportunities or threat challenges. And there's also demographic changes, aging population, urbanization, baby boomers, shifts in income or employment can affect demand. What is changing today? What do you see as a market shift in your market? Now, typically, as we know it for real estate, we look at inventory changes, interest rates, buyer behavior, seller's expectation, or it could be all of the above. Typically, it's most to all of the above. Now, since 2020, we have witnessed a hyperactive and subsequent underactive market. The demands for homes in varied parts of the nation rose significantly and rapidly when the COVID pandemic drastically caused an unprecedented workplace paradigm shift. More people were working from home. That has reshifted now, but just to give you a base. Now, at that point in time, few houses were available with too many buyers on the market, which rapidly drove up housing prices. Mortgage rates were below 3%, which have actually been in existence for years prior. However, because of the pandemic and increasing buying behavior, the price during that pandemic period, it helped to drive up the interest rates. And that was really a strategic move by the feds to help curb housing inflation. To date, affordability remains a challenge, with both high interest rates as well as high housing prices in some markets, some areas, while other areas have actually reached the bust, quote unquote, in their market, so to speak, right? And therefore, the houses are either sitting on the market longer or sellers are forced to reduce prices in some cases. Notwithstanding, mortgage rates remain moderately elevated compared to pre-2020, 2021 lows. Buyers have been adjusting accordingly. So they're still active, but not as significant as in that pandemic period. So there could be some level of normalcy at this point. Buyers, however, because of the high interest rates and high house prices, in order to afford, they're choosing options such as rate buy downs, extending mortgage times from 30 to 40 years, and I'm learning there could be even 50-year loans, or are negotiating with sellers. Now, bear in mind that each has its own implications and some merits in cases, so it's best to understand them fully before you make that decision, and also understand the market before you make that decision. Some sellers are still on the fence to sell. Well, some homeowners are still on the fence to sell due to high interest rates to obtain a new home. For the most part, they're saying, I am enjoying lower interest rates. Why should I sell now and then have to purchase something else at a higher rate? So within the last month, though, we have seen a few more sellers on the market, possibly because of the perceived shift in climate, while the noise of a possible market reset, aka market crash, gets louder. My recommendation, do not panic. So essentially, we think about two things when there is uncertainty or we have questions about the future. Two things could possibly happen. We could have the law of progression, which entails preparation, education, and plan of action. Now, individuals can prepare to adapt, prepare to educate themselves, or find opportunities within every single situation or circumstance, as well as, you just keep going, but not stopping, right? And one need to recognize in advance, as early as possible, whether there's a market shift. And it can help you to adjust your strategies and investment offerings. You could also identify new opportunities or mitigate challenges, as well as to avoid costly mistakes by rushing. So it's best to stay informed, stay evolved, and be ready. Then there is the law of progression, and that's essentially fear, delay, inaction. Now, the fear of the unknown can lead to a paralysis or panic. Either extreme could have a negative impact. And if it is that you're panic selling or panic buying because you think that prices may go up or you think that the sales may come down, it will only lead to exactly what you think it will be. So an influx of buyers or an influx of seller can shift the market drastically. Another, delay, indefinite waiting. If you need to buy or sell, waiting may not always augur well in extenuating circumstances. So, for example, you have lost your job and there is no other way to gain income. Perhaps selling and purchasing a smaller property might be helpful. Again, weigh your pros and cons, weigh the cost and the benefits in retaining a mansion, for example, with limited income. And there are other ideas or other areas that could also impact what you do. But the worst thing could be lack of preparation. That can cause setback. So it's best to take action for your future. Informed action, that is. So how do we buy smart? Buying smart during a shift typically requires planning ahead. So we need to examine the what if scenarios, like, particularly with your decision makers. Yes, essentially with your decision makers. It is best to get pre-approved first with a credible expert or financial institution, and this will give you clarity on your affordability as well as it strengthens your offer. Now, affordability means how much, mind you, if it is that you are qualified for, let's say, $1 million, if it is that your expenses plus having a mortgage would put you out of pocket with $1 million loan, it's recommended that you reduce, even though you're eligible for $1 million, you reduce that budget so that you can be able to service your loan. Remember, at this point in time, there's no perfect rates, and there may not be for a while perfect rates. So it depends on your affordability as well as determine your need versus want. Do I need a home because of my family dynamics or extenuating circumstances or whatever there is, as well as your timeline. How long do you intend to stay at this specific place? Is it your dream home? Is it your temporary home? Is it your forever home? Right? So we have to consider all of these factors. The right home matters, and there is a possibility, with no guarantees, for refinancing. You could also, if it is that you must buy, look beyond the obvious where there is low inventory. Okay, so we know we have, whenever there's low inventory, it's considered a seller's market. So the seller has an advantage. There's little to no room to negotiate, providing the house is priced right and there are competitors. So in cases like those, you need to look beyond the obvious. Homes that need light cosmetic updates can offer great value. Again, I probably have mentioned it before, but if I haven't, stay ready. Do not rush. When the right time and home appears, you know you are prepared and it gives you that edge. So some buyer tips to win. Remember to be flexible with terms when possible, depending on your markets, because some markets are close to what you consider a buyer's market where there are more homes for sale and less buyers. And in that regard, there might be some room for negotiation or for a concession, etc. In a market that has less inventory, more buyers, be flexible with the terms when possible. Overall, be flexible with terms when possible. Work with facts, not emotions, and keep your expectations realistic. So we focus on long-term value, not short-term noise. It's helpful in your decision making. For sellers, as well as investors, how to stand out in today's market makes a huge difference. If you are in a predominantly buyer's market, price, even a seller's market actually, price with precision matters. Today's buyers are informed, so strategic pricing attracts stronger offers and avoid your home sitting on the market. Remember too that first impressions matter. We are moving into a buyer's market in some areas, so it's helpful to pay more attention to the aesthetics of that specific home in order to stand out. So things such as fresh paint or a power wash, clean or declutter spaces, make them more neutral, and you could have simple yet elegant staging, providing it's affordable. Next step, focus on a move-in ready feel type home. So updates can create a major impact. Simple things as a light bulb meaning installing a new light bulb in your lamps, could consider to be an upgrade to an extent with the aesthetics for your home. Okay. And again, remember to keep landscaping, have landscaping touch-ups and maintenance. That is very helpful to get you ahead of the game. In any event, professional presentation always wins. High quality photos and videos are no longer optional. They are expected by buyers. It's easy to swipe left, right? And you want yours to be one that stands out. So, progression versus regression. As you can see, they're finding a balance really wins. There are two paths with two different outcomes. And it's essential to know when to move, know when to stay put in order to make it work. Whatever is best for you. Now, while rates remain constant and demand steady, albeit affordability still remains a concern, we can try to make it work according to your specific need and timeline. So I recommend let's go back to the basics. Determine what are the costs versus benefits of owning a home. Avoid paralysis or panic. So we discussed that earlier. Instead, try to implement the true fundamentals of economics, which could lead to a sustainable growth instead of an induced reset. And in that case, my closing thoughts. Let's face it, it's market. Let's face it, markets shifts, economies shifts, circumstances shift. The question is not whether change will come. The question is whether we will progress through it or regress because of it. A win-win scenario to consider with credible economic experts and a comprehensive mindset change. Could there be a possibility for a slow yet sustainable market recovery and growth than an induced reset, aka housing crisis, boom, bust, and economic meltdown? It's up to us to decide. So bear in mind, as it relates to New Jersey market, inventory remains pretty tight, but it's slowly improving. While prices of homes, well-priced homes, are still moving quickly in some areas, informed buyers are more selective due to interest rates and affordability. And therefore, it's helpful to be strategic in your approach, to speak with your real estate agent, get at least 3 advice as to what's the best way forward, as well as to know who is the best agent to hire in order to help you sell your home effectively during the market shift. And with that said, I want to thank you for joining me on this inaugural episode of Beyond the Market. If you found value in this episode, I would ask for you to like, share, and subscribe to be part of this growing community. For more real estate insights, visit amazingjourneyrealty.com. And for resources and other services offered, you may visit NadineMendez.com. So before I leave, I usually have a little nugget that I'll share with you. And this one is from Helen Keller, and it reads, "Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved." With that said, until next time, stay grounded, stay informed, stay blessed. Have an amazing week.